They are the super predators, the top links in the ocean's food chain. More than 350 species of sharks prowl the seas. Most are quite large, but some are small. Many are harmless, but some are deadly. We'll meet more than a dozen of them as we explore the beautiful and dangerous world of these rulers of the deep. Where our world ends, the world of the shark begins. The shoreline marks the boundary of a realm at once wondrous and treacherous, a place whose secrets we have only begun to understand. An alien environment to most of us, the sea hosts a wide variety of habitats, whose splendors rival the most luxuriant wild places found on the land. The shadowy forest of giant kelp that flourishes in the nutrient-rich waters off the California coast provides food and shelter for a dazzling array of ocean dwellers. A voracious herd of sea urchins munches its way through the fronds of a fallen giant, converting the simple carbohydrates in the kelp into complex proteins. Like the urchins, the decorator crab is dependent on the kelp, using its delicate claws to pluck pieces from the fronds. Artfully arranged, the snippets of kelp disguise its body. With its camouflage in place and each piece meticulously adjusted, the crab is at last prepared. If the ruse works, it will appear no more enticing than a plant to a prospective predator. The sea otter preys on crabs and sea urchins, winding its body in the fronds of kelp while it watches for a bigger predator, one it has good cause to fear. The blue shark is at home in temperate waters, like those on California's Pacific coast. A powerful and graceful hunter, it prowls the edges of the kelp forest, searching for prey. This large blue shark, 12 feet long, would have little trouble overpowering a sea otter, and on rare occasions, blues have attacked humans. But this is not surprising, considering that the blue is the most wide-ranging shark in the world. And unlike most other sharks, it is an adaptable and opportunistic hunter, feeding on whatever prey it can find. Mammals, however, do not form the bulk of the blue shark's diet. It prefers fish like these, which come to feed in the leafy groves of giant kelp. For some 400 million years, the ancestors of today's sharks have roamed the seas. And over that time, they have come close to perfecting a great variety of sleek designs and strategies for survival. The harbor seal is keenly interested in the ways of the shark. In early spring on California's Channel Islands, harbor seals beach themselves to bask in the sun, rest and socialize, and to give birth to their pups. On the sand, the seals are relatively safe from predators. For a while at least, they can relax without fear of being hunted. But the sea denies them that luxury. A seal pup swept out by the surf would make a hearty meal for a hungry blue shark patrolling offshore. The hefty adults are at home in the surf, but a sudden disturbance on land can send the whole colony, young and old alike, into the sea to take their chances with the sharks. From long experience, blue sharks off the Channel Islands know the breeding schedule of the harbor seals, and they watch for unguarded young. For adult seals and sea lions, the blue shark is not merely a threat, it's a competitor. In these waters, all three species prey on the same schools of fish, and the marine mammals do not welcome the shark's company. Fortunately for the seals, the blues fish mostly at night. During the day, they are content to cruise, casually scanning the sea for targets. In a shallow meadow of seagrass, harbor seals fraternize and regroup. On a single lungful of air, a seal can stay under for 20 minutes. Such stamina is a great advantage as it cruises through the undersea gardens, hunting for fish, squid, and crustaceans. In rich hunting grounds like this, the two carnivores, the predatory mammal and the predatory fish, are most likely to cross paths. Though neither as agile nor as resourceful as the seals, the sharks are remarkably proficient hunters, endowed with an array of adaptations that make them one of nature's great success stories. Marvels of hydrodynamic design, sharks are lithe and streamlined, sharing an overall body plan with the dolphins, which evolved the design independently. As a mammal, the dolphin has a skeleton of hard bone, in contrast to sharks and rays, whose skeletons are made of flexible cartilage. And while the dolphin swims by waving its tail up and down, the shark snakes from side to side. Curious and intelligent, sharks also possess astonishing sensory capabilities that enable them to home in on prey from miles away. Any preyed-upon species must learn to read the body language of its predators. And the sea otter understands that the blue's arched back and drooping pectoral fins mean trouble. But sea otters also learn that a shark swimming placidly can safely be ignored. The sea otter is the least aquatic of all the marine mammals. Compared to seals and dolphins, it is a relative newcomer to the neighborhood. The fish have been here for many millions of years longer, and they dominate the life of the sea. From the predator's perspective, each one is a potential meal. A shark on the hunt employs an arsenal of sophisticated sensory tools, including receptors for detecting electrical signals, like those produced by the heartbeats of its prey. The shark has been called a swimming nose. Some species can detect as little as a single drop of blood in 1 million drops of water, a skill that spells bad news for a wounded fish or marine mammal. Sharks are also extraordinarily sensitive to sound, especially the low-frequency pulses produced by struggling prey. A blue shark carefully investigates any strange object in its domain. In close quarters, a special membrane protects its sensitive eyes from injury. The blue shark's large, round eyes have evolved for hunting at night. Although they may be somewhat farsighted, sharks have sharp vision and are especially good at distinguishing shades of green and blue, which make up so much of the undersea palette. Elegant, enigmatic, and superbly engineered, the sharks are survivors. And over the millennia, they have claimed dominion in the world of the sea. If there is anywhere on Earth that can claim to be the true home of the sharks, surely it is here, in the warm waters that wash across the world's tropical reefs. Sharks are found in all the oceans, but the tropics boast the greatest diversity and abundance of shark species. From the surface, the reef may seem little more than a jumble of lifeless rock. But these are the skeletons of animals, creatures whose bodies build the reefs and palm-fringed coral atolls. Each zone of the reef, from the shallows to the drop-off into deep water, houses its own community of life and its own species of shark. The gray reef shark is stouter and heavier than its cold water kin, the blue shark. Not as graceful or agile as the blue, it has traded maneuverability for lethal power and speed. The smaller white-tip reef shark sports a torpedo-shaped body, ideal for weaving through coral canyons and darting after fish that shelter in the hidden crevices and crannies of the reef. The black-tip reef shark is another hunter of the coral reef, as is its cousin, the silver-tip reef shark, and the reclusive zebra shark, a sluggish bottom dweller that haunts the seafloor, hunting for small, crawling things. Though it spends much of its time in repose, the zebra shark makes occasional forays over the reef, accompanied by a squadron of slender remoras, which pick parasites from its skin and dine on scraps from its meals. Much swifter and more active, the gray reef shark usually keeps to the open water, where it searches for game. Like many bigger sharks, it must stay in motion in order to breathe. Lush, warm, and bathed in the sun, the coral reef is a grand oasis of life. Within the reef's fantastic architecture, multitudes find refuge and sustenance, protected from the perils of the open sea. Tiny hatchlings hide in the gardens of coral, while a steady rain of plankton bathes the reef in the nourishment on which nearly all the life in the sea depends. Dozens of species of coral cluster together on the reef, each a specialist in exploiting what the currents sweep their way. The green moray is the cobra of the corals. Though an aggressive predator, it meets its match in a territorial Nassau grouper. Reluctantly, the moray is forced to give way. It resumes its hunt across the reef. Though it may look like a snake, the moray too is a fish. But the banded sea snake is a true aquatic serpent. Armed with deadly venom, it puts its slender form to good advantage as it seeks out prey in the reef. By day, the reef is a place of drama, but when the sun sets, it's transformed into an arena of death. Most sharks hunt by night. And especially on moonlit nights, the reef can be a perilous place for a fish. Wise fish stay close to cover when the reef sharks are on the prowl. Now, the superlative sensory skills of the sharks afford them a strong advantage over their prey, permitting them to hunt in nearly total darkness. Cuttlefish also hunt at night and are hunted by the shark. Their enormous eyes scan the sea for danger, and like their relatives, the squid, they can jet away in an instant if alarmed. Like many sharks, this hunter carries a remora along for the ride. By hitchhiking, the smaller fish saves energy and may earn itself a meal. With a shark on the hunt, most fish lie low. And those that cannot hide go about their nightly chores with extra caution. While the reef holds deadly perils at night, the day brings challenges as well. Some sharks hunt alone, but other species prefer hunting in packs. A group of gray reef sharks casually cruises the reef, searching for food. By hunting together, the sharks take advantage of the sensory skills of each member of the pack. If one finds prey, all share in the rewards. These big hunters ignore small fish. They save their energy for the largest and easiest prey. The sharks are counter-shaded, colored darker above, lighter below, to camouflage them from their prey. Against the reef, their gray backs help them to disappear, while their pale bellies make them hard to distinguish against the bright ocean above. As long as the sharks are only cruising, the other creatures of the sea pursue their business with composure. Contrary to the common assumption that sharks will eat anything and everything they can find, most sharks are finicky about their food, selecting only certain sizes and types of prey. Some species on the reef are actually repugnant to sharks, and the same chemicals that protect them may one day provide humans with effective shark repellents. In the ecology of the reef, the sharks play an essential role. All of life here would suffer if they were to disappear. Over millions of years, they've staked their claims to a wide range of distinct ecological niches. The great hammerhead shark, which may grow to 19 feet, hunts around tropical reefs and drop-offs. The slightly smaller scalloped hammerhead stalks shallower tropical waters for its favorite prey, the squid. Its bizarre wing-like head gives the hammerhead unusual maneuverability. Their widely spaced eyes and nostrils, located on the tips of the wings, enhance the shark's powers of sight and smell, important advantages for any predator. Despite their threatening appearance, hammerheads are quite shy, and few attacks on humans have been reported. The same cannot be said for the tiger shark, a reputed man-eater that is widely regarded as the most dangerous shark in tropical waters. As long as 18 feet, it has even been known to attack boats. And it is especially fond of turtles. The tiger shark's powerful jaws can bite a sea turtle in two, and the acids in its stomach can digest even the shell. Among the sharks, as with other predators on land and sea, most attempts at predation end in failure. While the tiger shark has liberal tastes, the tawny nurse shark is a specialist that scours the seafloor for small fish and invertebrates. Sensitive barbels on its jaw may help the shark locate hidden prey as it feels its way along the bottom. Looked something like this. The creatures known as chimeras are living relics, ancient members of the great class of fish that includes sharks and rays. But while chimeras remain an oddity, one of evolution's dead ends, sharks and rays have flourished, populating the oceans of the world with more than 800 species. A stingray erupts from the ocean floor behind a smokescreen of sand. Essentially flattened sharks, the rays sport vastly enlarged pectoral fins, which they use as wings to fly across the seafloor. Most rays are bottom dwellers, lurking in the sand when they are not pursuing their prey, mainly shellfish that live on the ocean floor. Like sharks and chimeras, the rays have evolved skeletons entirely composed of cartilage, which makes their bodies lighter and more elastic than those of the bony fishes. Rays swim in an incomparable manner, graceful and entrancing. Perfectly camouflaged to blend with their habitat, a pair of spotted stingrays sail over a rocky reef, while a California bat ray, looking like a vampire in a black cloak, weaves through the coral labyrinth. The stinger on the stingray's tail contains a neurotoxin to discourage would-be predators. The eagle ray has forsaken such protection and traded its billowy fins for powerful bird-like wings. With a wingspan that can reach 23 feet, the largest of all rays is the giant manta, here giving a ride to a pair of remoras as it sweeps the sea for prey. Despite its imposing appearance, the giant manta ray is one of the most placid creatures in the sea. Its great mouth agape, the manta soars over the reef, feasting on tremendous quantities of plankton and tiny fish. A so-called filter feeder, the manta dines as it swims, sucking in plankton like a colossal vacuum cleaner. From the manta, it is a small step to the most primitive sharks. Like many of the rays, the angel shark is a bottom dweller with wing-like pectoral fins. And like the rays, it is a master of camouflage. But like a true shark, it swims by sculling with its tail while keeping its pectoral fins rigid. This angel shark is on the move, but to hunt, it waits in ambush for hapless prey to swim over it. By contrast, the marbled cat shark, another bottom dweller, actively searches for crabs and mollusks. When threatened, the cat shark makes for the reef, where it hides, beautifully camouflaged against the mottled surface of the rocks. Like the vast majority of the 350 or more species of sharks, the cat shark is timid and harmless to humans. But shy or not, all sharks are predators. A docile horn shark searches for mollusks, urchins, and shellfish, finding shelter where it can from the jaws of larger hunters. Another camouflage artist, the Port Jackson shark, wears a pattern of stripes to blend into its home in the seagrass. Its eggs, swathed in a leathery case with screw-like flanges, are left on the reef to hatch, or to be devoured by other predators. With broad sweeps of their eel-like tails, a pair of nurse sharks propel themselves through the reef. Sluggish and non-aggressive, the nurses are suction feeders, swooping down on invertebrates and sucking them out of the sand. By contrast, the tiger shark tears chunks of flesh from anything it encounters. Wounded by a fisherman's hook, this giant shark, attended by a tiny remora, drifts across the seafloor, watching for any game it can catch. In its body plan, the tiger shark is typical of the requiem or whaler sharks, a family including several other species that have earned reputations as man-eaters. The mako shark has a different design, bullet-shaped and compact. Capable of bursts of speed that may top 50 miles per hour, the mako uses its power to chase down swift-moving prey in the open sea. Though the sand tiger shark is related to the mako, its way of life is very different. Despite its fierce, snaggle-toothed visage, the sand tiger spends much of its time slowly cruising, accompanied by pilotfish, which feed on scraps from its meals. No sharks are more specialized than the hammerheads, which belong to a family of their own. With its wing-shaped head, the hammerhead is an extreme of shark evolution. Its design has proven highly effective. Few sharks have more acute senses or more success in finding prey. The blue shark, with its friendly face and its large round eyes, is the most familiar of all the sharks. It is one of the few species of sharks that hunts by sight in the open ocean. Fortunately, fish are its favorite food. But the same cannot be said for the great white. The world's largest flesh-eating fish, the great white shark, is a legend. Only the killer whale outranks it as the top predator in the sea. But the biggest of all the world's fish is the whale shark. Reaching a length of 40 feet, a big whale shark is the size of a city bus. Yet it supports its colossal bulk almost entirely on a diet of plankton. Filtering food as it swims, it drifts through the sun-spangled sea, a gentle giant in a world of killers. Beneath the surface of the gray seas that break against temperate shores lies one of the richest ecosystems of the planet. Dredged from the deep by powerful tides, a great broth of nutrients and plankton is stirred by the waves. This collision of biological riches and titanic forces creates prime conditions for some of the sea's most robust creatures. Fur seals flourish in places like this, nourished by the bounty of fish that swarm in the plankton-rich waters. For them, the lure of the fish is worth the threat of the great white shark. Beyond the beach, past the pools where the young seals frolic, the great predator waits. And along these shores, few marine mammals will live their lives without encountering the killer. As an adult, the great white feeds almost exclusively on warm-blooded prey. The great white typically grows to 20 feet or more and weighs over 2 tons. It's the nemesis of sea mammals, from seals to whales. But what the shark possesses in power, it lacks in agility, and a swift and sharp-eyed sea lion can usually outmaneuver it. Swimming circles around the great white, the sea lion frustrates the giant and drives it away from the rookery on shore. It is a bold act, which could cost the sea lion its life. With its sinister grin and savage jaws, the great white shark may seem to be the embodiment of terror. But even for this super predator, finding a meal is not easy, even in places where seals and sea lions abound. The shark usually strives for a surprise attack. It is rare for an adult fur seal on this beach off South Australia not to bear scars from a close call with a great white. The majority of attacks are near misses, and the prey survives to face the great white again. With only one weapon, its jaws, the shark faces a tough challenge against the quick and clever marine mammals. It uses its nose to search for the telltale clues which could lead it to an injured and bleeding animal. Though they always hunt alone, great whites are often drawn together by the scent of blood. And as they swim, the sharks remain ever alert, listening for the faint sounds of struggling prey. Hunting primarily by day, they patrol the waters near the surface, where air-breathing mammals spend much of their time. Their objective, to get within easy striking range of the wounded or the unwary. The attack comes from below, and if properly executed, the prey never sees its attacker. After a quick first strike, the shark circles and closes in for the kill. But even a wounded sea lion can put up a valiant fight, and great whites are occasionally killed in battles with powerful prey. The wounds on the shark's side testify to many encounters with the razor-sharp claws of sea lions. But the pain and effort pay off, for after a single hearty meal, the great white can survive as long as 2 months before feeding again. In countless ways, the hunted and the hunter depend upon each other. Without the services each provides, the other could not prosper. As a predator, the great white has few equals, and by culling the weak and unfit among its prey, it ensures that the strongest, the best adapted, live and multiply. An unlucky few will die in the jaws of the hunter. But the species will endure, made stronger by the predator. Viewed in this light, the great white is less an agent of death than an agent of life, a creature that plays a vital role in the world of the sea. Sharks and rays have coursed through the sea 100 times longer than humans have lived on the earth. Theirs is a remarkable achievement. Though we have gained insights into their world, far more remains undiscovered. Probing the secrets of the sharks is a great adventure, and one that has only recently begun. Mysterious and magnificent, they are at the peak of a great pyramid of life, contributing in countless ways to the splendor of the sea.